Have you ever wondered why the birds in Algonquin Park stop singing the moment the sun touches the water? My name is Officer Elena Vance. I have been a ranger here for 15 years. My job is to protect the trees and the animals, but mostly my job is to protect you from things you do not believe in. Most people think nature is a place for fun and selfies. That is the first big mistake. Nature is not your friend. It is a giant machine that has been running for millions of years. It does not care about your hiking boots or your fancy tent. I am breaking my silence today because I saw something last Tuesday that I cannot unsee. I saw a man whistle at the lake, and the lake whistled back with a voice that belonged to his dead mother. If you stay with me until the very end of this video, I will show you the exact coordinates of the silent zone. This is a place so dangerous that it is scrubbed from every official map. I will also give you the one secret word you must shout if you ever feel the forest starting to change the shape of your shadow. Knowing this word is the only way to come home in one piece. People tell you that whistling is bad for the birds. They say it is rude to other hikers. Those are lies. The truth is much scarier. As a ranger, I have seen the secret files. In Algonquin Park, the water acts like a big ear. It listens to every breath you take. When you whistle, you are sending a signal. You are telling the things under the water exactly where you are standing. These things are mimics. They are like mirrors that can talk. They want to steal your voice so they can use it to lure more people into the deep. There is a big question everyone asks. Why doesn't the government just close the park? The answer is simple. They are not trying to save you. They are using you as bait to study what lives in the dark. You are part of an experiment you never signed up for. If you think you are safe because you have a cell phone, you are wrong. In the no-whistle zones, your phone will show you the wrong time. It will show you messages from people who died years ago. This is not a glitch. It is the forest trying to get inside your head. I know you are worried. You should be. But I, Elena Vance, am here to teach you the real rules. Not the rules on the signs, but the rules written in the old ranger books that they tried to burn. We are going to talk about the biology of water. We are going to talk about why the fish in Lake Two Rivers have human teeth. Most importantly, I am going to show you how to survive when the hush begins. This is not just a story. This is your survival guide. Put your phone on silent. Sit back. And whatever you do, do not make a sound. Why do we tell you to never look at your own reflection after 4 p.m.? My name is Elena Vance, and I have seen what happens to hikers who get too curious. Most people think their reflection is just a picture of themselves in the water. That is a very big misconception. In Algonquin Park, the water is not just water. It is like a thick living skin. After the sun starts to dip, the water begins to sample everything near it. If you stare at your reflection for more than 10 seconds, the water starts to memorize your face. I once found a young woman sitting by the shore of Lake Opiongo. She was beautiful, but she was crying. When I looked into the water at her feet, her reflection was not crying. It was smiling. It was waiting for her to blink so it could pull her in. One of the biggest questions I get is, Elena, how can water be alive? The answer is in the biology of the park. There is a special kind of moss that grows under the lake. This moss connects all the lakes together like a giant brain. This brain is very hungry for new memories. It uses the no-whistle policy to keep the park quiet so it can hear your thoughts. If you make a loud noise, you break its focus. But if you whistle, you are singing its favorite song. It is like ringing a dinner bell for a shark. The concern people have is that they will whistle by accident. If you do, you must immediately put mud in your ears and run away from the sound of your own voice. Rule number 1 is the most important. Never touch a fish that has cloudy eyes. If you catch a fish and its eyes look like white marbles, throw your fishing rod into the lake and do not look back. These fish are scouts. They are the eyes and ears of the forest. If you touch one, the forest now knows your scent. It will follow you back to your tent. It will wait until you are asleep, and then it will start to mimic the sound of your zipper opening. I have seen tents ripped open from the inside out. The people were gone, but their boots were still there, filled with cold lake water. You might be worried about your safety right now. You might think about leaving the park early. But there is a problem. Once you have heard the lake whistle back at you, you are already marked. The forest thinks you belong to it now. But do not be afraid yet. I am going to teach you how to wash that mark off. It involves using the sap from a burnt pine tree and never speaking your own name out loud for 24 hours. This is how we rangers stay safe. We treat the park like a sleeping giant. We walk softly and we never ever talk back to the water. Have you ever looked at your watch and realized you lost 3 hours in just 1 minute? This is what we rangers call the stretch. Most people think that time moves the same way everywhere. This is a huge misconception. In the deep parts of Algonquin Park, time is not a straight line. It is more like a circle that the forest can bend. My name is Elena Vance, and I once went out for a 10-minute walk to check a trail. When I came back to the station, my boss told me I had been missing for 3 days. To me, it felt like a blink. To the world, I was a ghost. This happens because the trees eat your time to stay young. A big question I hear is, why can't I just use my phone or a radio to call for help? The answer is the silver frequency. The forest produces a natural energy that messes with all batteries. If you look at your phone screen in a no-whistle zone, you might see a map of a city that does not exist. You might see photos of yourself that you never took. This is the forest's biggest concern for you. It wants to confuse your brain so you stop trusting what is real. If you see a photo of yourself standing behind yourself in the reflection of your phone, throw the phone away immediately. It is no longer a tool. It is an anchor keeping you trapped in the stretch. There is something called the erasure protocol. You might wonder why these stories never make it to the news. It is because the government has a special team that cleans up the leftovers. When a person vanishes, this team does not look for them. They look for their memories. They go to the person's house and take their photos. They delete their social media. They want the world to forget you ever existed so they can keep the park open. They need more people to come here so the forest stays fed and happy. If the forest is happy, it stays inside the park. If it gets hungry, it might start moving toward the cities. You are probably feeling very scared right now. You are thinking, is there any way to stay safe? Yes, there is. Rule number 4 is to always carry a small mirror made of polished steel, not glass. If you feel like time is stretching, look into the steel mirror. Steel shows the truth. If you look in the mirror and you see a tree where your face should be, you need to bite your tongue until it bleeds. The taste of salt and blood will wake up your brain and snap the circle of time. This is a hard rule, but it is the only way to stop the forest from erasing you. I am telling you this because I want you to be the one who makes it out. I have seen too many empty campsites with warm coffee still sitting on the table. The people were just gone. But you are different. You are learning the secrets of the old books. You are learning how to fight back against mimicry. We are halfway through the survival guide, and the next part is the most dangerous. We are going to talk about the Great Lake Heart and what is waiting at the bottom of the water. Have you ever looked at a lake and felt like the water was breathing? Most people think a lake is just a big hole filled with rain. This is a huge misconception. In Algonquin, the lakes are connected by tunnels deep underground. These tunnels are like the veins in your body. They all lead to one place called the Great Lake Heart. My name is Elena Vance, and I once used a special underwater camera to see what was down there. I did not find fish or plants. I found thousands of white cables that looked like human hair. These cables were wiggling and reaching up toward the surface. They were waiting for someone to whistle so they could pull them down into the dark. The biggest question people ask me is, Elena, why do we find empty shoes on the shore? I will tell you the truth, even if it is scary. The things in the water do not want your clothes or your shoes. They only want your skin and your bones. They take the inside of a person and leave the outside behind. This is why we find boots that are perfectly tied but empty. The forest uses your bones to grow new trees. It uses your skin to make new mimics. This is how the park stays so green and beautiful. It is built on the people who did not follow the rules. A big concern for hikers is the silent wave. Sometimes the lake will become perfectly flat like a piece of glass. Not a single ripple will move. If you see this, you must run to high ground immediately. A flat lake means the heart is taking a deep breath. It is pulling all the energy from the air. If you stay on the shore, you will start to feel very sleepy. You will want to lay down and nap in the sand. But if you fall asleep there, you will never wake up. You will become part of the hair-like cables at the bottom of the lake. You might think you can fight back with a knife or a gun, but you cannot shoot a lake. You cannot stab the wind. The only way to survive the heart is to stay loud in your mind but quiet with your mouth. Rule number 7 says you should always carry a small bag of salt. If you feel the silent wave coming, throw the salt into the water. The salt hurts the great heart. It makes the water ripple and break the spell. This gives you enough time to get away. I am telling you this because the government wants you to think the water is safe for swimming. They want you to buy a permit and jump in. But as a ranger, I have seen the heart move. I have seen it change the shape of the shoreline overnight. We are getting close to the end of my guide. Next, we will talk about the white fog and the final rule that no one is allowed to speak out loud. This is the rule that saved my life last year. Have you ever walked through a thick fog and suddenly saw a house that looked just like yours? Most people think fog is just a cloud that is touching the ground. This is a big misconception. In Algonquin Park, the white fog is actually a living gas. It is like the breath of the forest. My name is Elena Vance, and I have seen the fog roll in and create false houses. These are buildings that look like your home or your favorite cabin. They look warm and safe. They might even have a smell like fresh cookies or your mother's perfume coming from the windows. But if you walk through the front door of a false house, you are stepping directly into the stomach of the forest. The biggest question hikers ask is, how can I tell the difference between a real cabin and a trap? The answer is in the details. The forest is good at mimicry, but it is not perfect. In a false house, the clocks will have numbers that are upside down. The doorknobs will feel warm, like they are made of flesh instead of metal. Most importantly, there will be no shadows inside. Everything will be bright and flat. If you see a house in the middle of the woods where it should not be, do not go inside. It is the forest's way of trying to overcome your biggest concern, the fear of being cold and alone. Another big concern is the voice in the fog. When the white fog is thick, you will hear people calling your name. They will sound like your friends or your family. They will say they are hurt and need help. But remember rule number 9. Never follow a voice into the fog. If your friend is really lost, they will be shouting for help, not just saying your name over and over in a calm voice. The forest uses your name like a hook on a fishing line. It wants you to run into the white mist so it can wrap its breath around you and pull you into the ground. You might think you can just stay in your tent and wait for the fog to go away. But the fog can seep through the smallest cracks. Rule number 10 is to always keep a piece of charred wood from your campfire. If the white fog touches your tent, use the charred wood to draw a circle around yourself. The forest hates the smell of burnt wood because it reminds it of fire, which is the only thing it fears. This charcoal circle is like a wall that the fog cannot cross. It is a simple tool, but it has saved more lives than any radio or GPS. I am telling you these things because I have found too many false houses filled with the clothes of people who thought they were safe. I have heard the fog calling my own name, using the voice of my sister who went missing here 10 years ago. It was hard to stay away, but I knew the rules. We are almost at the end now. Next, we are going to talk about the night rangers, and the final rule that you must never break if you want to see the sun again. Have you ever seen a ranger walking deep in the woods at midnight without a flashlight? Most people think that we rangers work all night to keep you safe. This is a big misconception. My name is Elena Vance, and I am telling you now, real rangers do not go out after dark without a light. If you see someone in a green uniform standing perfectly still in the shadows, do not wave to them. We call these the night rangers. They look like us, but their skin is as hard as tree bark and they do not have any eyes. They are the forest's guards. Their job is to make sure no one leaves the park after they have broken the no-whistle policy. A big question I get is, what happens if a night ranger sees me? The answer is that they don't see with eyes. They feel the ground shake when you walk. This is why the trees in Algonquin are so dangerous. Have you ever noticed a tree that was on your left side, but when you looked back it was on your right? That is not your mind playing tricks on you. The trees here can walk. They move very slowly when you are looking at them, but they move fast when you blink. They are trying to surround your campsite so you cannot find the trail in the morning. This is the forest's way of overcoming your biggest concern, finding your way home. The concern people have is how to stay hidden when the trees start to move. Rule number 11 is very strange, but it works. You must speak to the trees like they are naughty pets. If you see a tree has moved closer to your tent, look at it directly and say, "I see you." This sounds silly, but it works. When you show the forest that you are awake to its tricks, it stops moving for a while. The mimics and the night rangers like easy prey. They want people who are scared and confused. If you stay brave and talk back to the shadows, they will wait for someone else who is easier to catch. Rule number 12 is about your campfire. Never let your fire go out completely until the sun is fully up. The night rangers hate the light of a real fire because it shows their true shape. In the firelight, they don't look like rangers. They look like tall, thin piles of dry sticks. If your fire starts to die, you might hear them whispering. They will tell you that it is okay to sleep. They will tell you that the morning is coming early. Do not listen. They are trying to get you to lower your guard. Keep your fire bright, even if you have to burn your own wooden walking stick to do it. I am telling you this because I have seen what the night rangers do to people who forget their flashlights. I have seen the way the trees can trap a person in a small circle until they go crazy from fear. But you are almost through the dark. We have one more section left. We are going to talk about the final, most secret rule, Rule 13. This is the rule that explains the coordinates I promised you, and the secret word that will save your soul. Have you ever wondered who made the no-whistle rule? Most people think it is a new rule made by the government. They think it started just a few years ago to keep the park quiet. This is a very big misconception. This rule is actually hundreds of years old. Long before there were cars or planes, the people who lived on this land knew about the danger. They did not call it a policy or a rule. They called it a blood promise. They knew that the lakes were not just water. They knew the lakes were like giant sleeping animals. If you made a sharp sound like a whistle, you were waking the animal up. In the old days, if someone whistled by the water, the whole village would move their tents the very next morning. They knew that the spot was no longer safe. A big question people ask is, why does a whistle matter so much? Think about it this way. In the forest, every sound has a reason. A bird sings to find a friend. An owl hoots to find food. But a human whistle is different. It is a very straight and sharp sound. Nature does not make sounds like that. When you whistle, it is like hitting a drum in a quiet library. It catches the attention of things that should stay asleep. The Great Lake Heart, at the bottom of the water, hears that sound and thinks it is a call. thinks you are asking to be changed. It thinks you want to stop being a human and start being part of the woods. This is the biggest danger of all. The biggest concern for the old rangers was something called the month of the echo. This happens once every 50 years. During this time, the air in Algonquin Park gets very thin and strange. If you say something, the woods repeat it back to you. But the echo does not sound like you. Sounds like something trying to learn how to speak. If you whistle during the month of the echo, the sound will never stop. It will bounce from tree to tree and lake to lake forever. I found an old report from 1920 about a man who whistled for his dog. For weeks after he left, people still heard that whistle coming from the empty bushes. The scary part is that the man never made it home. The forest kept his whistle, and then it kept him. Rule number 14 is about the silver whistle trap. Sometimes hikers find an old, shiny whistle sitting on a rock near the water. It looks like someone dropped it. You might feel the urge to pick it up and blow it to see if it works. Do not touch it. This is a trap set by the cragwalkers. These are things made of stone and old moss that hide in the high rocks. They leave these shiny things out to find people who like to make noise. If you blow that silver whistle, you are giving the cragwalkers permission to follow you. They will not attack you right away. They will wait until you are driving home. You will look in your mirror and see a stone face sitting in your back seat. The government knows about this history. They have found the old journals and the drawings on the cave walls. They changed the name to a no-whistle policy because they didn't want people to be afraid. They wanted people to keep coming to the park and spending money. But they still put up the signs because they know what happens when the Great Heart gets angry. They have seen the way the water rises to swallow campsites when someone is too loud. They are not trying to save your life. They are trying to keep the forest quiet so it doesn't grow too big and reach the cities. I am telling you this because you need to know that you are walking on very old and very dangerous ground. The rules are not there to be mean. They are there to keep the blood promise alive. If you follow the rules, the forest will let you pass. If you break them, you become a story that the next ranger will have to write down in the secret books. Next, we are going to talk about the whispering wells and why the dirt under your feet might not be dirt at all. Have you ever been walking through a dry part of the forest and found a small, perfect circle of water? It looks like a tiny pool, maybe only as big as a dinner plate. We call these whispering wells. Most people think they are just holes where rainwater collects. This is a very big misconception. These holes do not come from the sky. They come from deep inside the earth. The water inside them is very cold and very dark. If you look into a whispering well, you will not see your reflection. You will see a long dark tunnel that goes down forever. These wells are the ears of the park. The forest uses them to listen to what people are saying when they think they are alone. A big question I hear is, why do I hear voices near these holes? The answer is that the forest stores sounds inside the water. If you lean your ear close to a whispering well, you will hear a soft buzzing sound. It sounds like thousands of bees, but if you listen closer, you will hear words. You might hear someone saying, "Help me," or "Over here." These are the voices of people who whistled near the lakes 50 years ago. The forest keeps their voices in these wells like a library. The biggest concern for me as a ranger is when a hiker tries to talk back to the well. If you say your name into the hole, the forest now owns your voice. It can use your voice to trick your friends later that night. Rule number 15 is very important. Never drink the water from a whispering well. It might look clean, but it is full of memory dust. If you drink it, you will start to see things that are not there. You will see people in old-fashioned clothes walking through the trees. You will see houses that burned down a long time ago. But the real danger is the mud people. These are things that live inside the tunnels under the wells. They are made of wet dirt, old bones, and rotten leaves. They have no faces of their own. They wait at the bottom of the wells for someone to look inside. When you look in, they copy your face. The biggest concern for hikers is being followed. If you feel like someone is walking behind you, but you don't hear any footsteps, it might be a mud person. Because they are made of soft mud, they are very quiet. They don't have bones, so they can bend in strange ways. They can hide behind a tree that is much thinner than they are. I once found a campsite where the people were gone, but there were muddy handprints all over the inside of their tent. The handprints were perfect, just like human hands, but they smelled like the bottom of a lake. This is why you must never camp near a small hole in the ground. If you find a whispering well near your tent, you must follow Rule 16 immediately. Take a heavy stone and place it over the hole. Then take some salt and sprinkle it in a circle around the stone. Mud people cannot touch salt because it makes them dry up and fall apart. After you do this, you must leave that spot. Do not wait for morning. Walk until you find a place where the ground is rocky and hard. Mud people cannot travel through rocks. They can only move through soft, wet dirt. If you stay on the rocks, you are safe from the things that live in the wells. The government knows about the mud people. In the secret ranger books, there are photos of clay men found in the woods. The government tells the public that these are just art projects made by hippies. That is a lie. They are actually people who looked too deep into the whispering wells and lost their skin to the forest. They are now just shells made of dirt. I am telling you this because I want you to keep your skin. I want you to keep your voice. Next, we are going to talk about the blue bleeding trees and why you should never touch the sap in the North Woods. Have you ever walked through the North Woods and seen a tree with bark that looks like it is made of silver? Most people think these are just a different kind of birch tree. This is a very big misconception. These are what we rangers call memory trees. They are the oldest things in Algonquin Park. While a normal tree grows by drinking water, these silver trees grow by drinking memories. If you take a small knife and cut the bark, the tree will not bleed sticky sap like a pine tree. Instead, a bright blue liquid will leak out. It looks like melted neon or blue ink. This liquid is the most dangerous thing in the forest because it is not just liquid, it is data. It is everything the forest has ever seen or heard. A big question I hear from hikers is, Elena, why do I feel like the trees are leaning toward me? It is because the silver trees are hungry. They can feel the warmth of your brain. They want to touch you so they can download who you are. I once found a hiker who had tried to carve his initials into one of these silver trees. He only got as far as the first letter. When the blue liquid touched his hand, he stopped moving. When I found him, he was just standing there, staring at nothing. He didn't know his name. He didn't know why he was in the woods. The tree had taken his memory of his own life and replaced it with the memory of a storm that happened in the park 300 years ago. The biggest concern for me as a ranger is when people use the blue sap as war paint on their faces. Sometimes kids think it looks cool because it glows in the dark. But rule number 17 is very clear. Never let the blue blood of a tree touch your skin. Once it enters your body, it stays there forever. At night, you will start to see things through the eyes of the forest. You will see people walking at the bottom of the lake. You will see the night rangers standing outside your house back in the city. The forest uses that blue liquid like a tracking device. It doesn't matter if you go to a different country. The silver trees will always know exactly where you are sleeping. Another thing you must know is that these trees talk to the water. The roots of the silver trees go deep into the ground and wrap around the pipes that lead to the Great Lake heart. This is how the forest knows when you break the no-whistle policy. When you whistle, the sound vibrates through the air and hits the silver bark. The tree turns that sound into a blue pulse that travels down to the lake. Within seconds, the water knows exactly where you are standing. This is why you will often see a no-whistle sign nailed directly into a silver tree. It is not just a sign. It is a warning that the tree is listening. Rule number 18. If you accidentally touch the blue liquid, you must find a way to burn it off your skin immediately. I don't mean you should burn yourself, but you should use heat or very strong salt water to wash it away. If you wait more than an hour, your skin will start to turn a pale silver color. You will start to feel a strange urge to stand still and never move again. This is how the night rangers are made. They are just people who let the blue blood get into their hearts. They stop being human and start being part of the silver woods. They lose their eyes because they don't need them anymore. They see through the roots of the trees. The government knows that these trees are more than just wood. They have tried to cut some of them down to study them in labs. But every time a saw touches a silver tree, the person holding the saw screams and falls over. The tree shares its pain with the person. This is why the government just lets them grow. They have built research stations around the biggest silver trees to see how much memory they can hold. I have seen the files. Some of these trees remember the day the first humans stepped onto this land. They remember every person who has ever gone missing. If we could talk to the blue liquid, we would know where all the bodies are hidden. But the price of that knowledge is your own soul. Next, we are going to talk about the false lights and why you should never follow a lantern that you see moving through the swamps at night. Have you ever been sitting in your tent at night and seen a soft, yellow light moving between the trees? Most people think it is another hiker with a flashlight or maybe a ranger on patrol. This is a very big misconception. In the deep swamps of Algonquin, we call these false lights. These lights do not come from a battery or a fire. They are actually a type of glowing gas that the forest breathes out when it is hunting. The light looks warm and friendly, like a lantern in a window. It moves slowly, almost like it is waiting for you to catch up. My name is Elena Vance, and I am telling you now. If you follow that light, you are walking into a place where the ground is not solid. A big question I hear is, why would the forest use a light to trick me? The answer is simple. The forest knows that humans are afraid of the dark. It knows that we look for light when we are lost. The false light is a trap for your eyes. While you are looking at the pretty yellow glow, you are not looking at your feet. You are not noticing that the trees are getting closer together. You are not noticing that the sound of the crickets has stopped. The biggest concern for me is that the false light can change its color. If it sees that you are not moving, it might turn red or blue to make you think it is an emergency vehicle. It wants to trigger your helper brain so you run toward it. Rule number 19. If you see a false light, you must close one eye and look at it through your fingers. This sounds like a game, but it is a trick to save your life. When you look at a false light with both eyes, it can cast a spell on your brain that makes you feel like you are walking on a flat road. But if you look through your fingers with one eye, you will see the truth. You will see that the light is actually floating over a deep, black hole or a patch of quicksand. This is how the swamp singers catch people. These are thin, pale creatures that live in the wet mud. They carry the false lights on long, thin hairs that grow out of their heads. The swamp singers are the reason for rule number 20. Never sing back to the woods. Sometimes the false light will be accompanied by a beautiful song. It might sound like a woman humming or a group of people laughing. This is the forest trying to overcome your concern of being alone. It wants you to think there is a party or a warm camp nearby. But if you sing or shout back, the swamp singers will lock onto your location. They move through the mud like snakes. They don't have bones, so they can slide under your tent flap without making a single sound. I have seen tents where the people were taken, and the only thing left was a small puddle of swamp water on their sleeping bag. The government knows about the false lights. They have tried to put up fences around the swamps, but the lights just float over the top. They have even tried to use drones to follow the lights, but the drones always crash. The cameras on the drones show nothing but static and a pair of glowing eyes. The government tells the public that these lights are just swamp gas or reflections of the stars. But as a ranger, I have seen these lights lead people directly into the Great Lake heart. The lights are like the fingers of the lake, reaching out to grab anyone who is too curious. Rule number 21 is the most important for the night. If a false light comes right up to your tent, do not look at it. Cover your head with your blanket and count to 100. Do not speak. Do not whisper. The light cannot see you if you do not look at it. It is like a mirror. It needs a reflection to work. If you stay hidden and quiet, the light will eventually get bored and float away to find someone else. This is why we tell you to stay in your tent. The fabric of the tent isn't what protects you. It's the fact that you are hidden from the forest's gaze. Have you ever looked up at a tree and seen a bird that was perfectly still for hours? Most people think the bird is just resting or waiting for a bug. This is a very big misconception. In the deep parts of the park, we have what we call the silent birds. These are not real animals made of meat and feathers. They are made of the same silver wood as the memory trees. They do not eat and they do not sing. Their only job is to be the security cameras for the Great Lake heart. If you see a bird that does not blink or move its head when you walk by, you have been spotted. My name is Elena Vance, and I have learned that when the birds go silent, the forest is about to change. A big question hikers ask is, why do the birds stop singing at exactly the same time? It usually happens right before the no-whistle policy becomes most important. It is because the birds are sending a signal. They are turning off the background noise so the lake can hear you better. The biggest concern for me as a ranger is when people try to throw rocks at these silent birds. Rule number 22. Never touch or hurt a silent bird. If you break one of these wooden birds, the forest will see it as an act of war. The trees around you will start to tighten their branches, making it impossible for you to find the path. I once found a hiker who had trapped a silent bird in a cage. He was found 3 days later, but he couldn't speak. Every time he opened his mouth, the sound of a crow came out instead of his voice. Then there are the sky watchers. Have you ever noticed a cloud that stays in the same spot, even when the wind is blowing hard? Most people think it is just a strange weather pattern. That is another big misconception. Those are not clouds. They are the sky watchers. They are giant floating shapes that stay high above the trees to watch the whole park at once. They look like white mist, but if you look through a pair of binoculars, you can see that they have hundreds of long, thin strings hanging down. These strings are so thin you can't see them with your eyes, but they are touching the tops of the trees. They are feeling the vibrations of the forest. The biggest concern for hikers is when the sky turns a bruised purple color during the middle of the day. This means a sky watcher has moved directly over you. When this happens, rule number 23 says you must cover your head with a bright orange cloth. For some reason, the sky watchers cannot see the color orange very well. It confuses their eyes. If you don't have oranges, you must stay under a thick rock ledge. Do not stay under a tree. Remember, the trees are connected to the sky by those invisible strings. If you are under a tree, the sky watcher knows exactly where you are. The government knows about the sky watchers. They have no-fly zones over certain parts of Algonquin Park. They tell pilots it is because of radio interference, but the real reason is that planes have flown into sky watchers and simply disappeared. No crash, no smoke, just gone. The government uses satellite pictures to track where the sky watchers are moving, but they never tell the rangers. I only know because I found a secret map in a crashed drone. The map showed that the sky watchers are moving closer to the park boundaries every year. They are looking for new places to watch. Rule number 24. If you see your own shadow on the ground, but there is no sun in the sky, run. This means a sky watcher is shining a dark light on you. This light doesn't help you see. It makes you visible to the things under the water. It is like a spotlight for the Great Lake heart. If you see this ghost shadow, you have less than 5 minutes to find a cave or a deep hole to hide in. The forest is trying to tag you for collection. I have seen shadows on the ground that stayed there even after the person was gone. It was like the ground kept a memory of where they last stood. I am telling you this because the sky is just as dangerous as the water. People always look at their feet, but they forget to look up. In Algonquin, the danger comes from every direction. We are now moving toward the most secret part of the park, the Gray Station. This is where the rangers who break the rules are taken. Have you ever found a building in the woods that wasn't on your map? Most people think it is just an old cabin for hikers or a tool shed. This is a very big misconception. My name is Elena Vance, and I am going to tell you about the Gray Station. It is a small building made of concrete that has no windows and only one heavy steel door. There is no name on the door. There is no number. But if you listen closely to the walls, you can hear the sound of a typewriter clicking inside. This is where the paper people work. They are the ones who write the rules we have to follow. But they aren't exactly human anymore. They are thin, pale, and their skin feels like old dry paper. The biggest question I get is, who pays the rangers to stay quiet? The answer is that the Gray Station is not run by the government we know. It is run by a group that has been here as long as the Great Lake heart has been awake. Their job is to keep a record of every person who enters the park. Every time you step on a twig, a paper person writes it down. Every time you whistle, they pull a fresh sheet of paper and start a new file on you. The biggest concern for me is that once your file is finished, you belong to the Gray Station. They don't use money. They use human time to keep the park running. Rule number 25. If you see a piece of paper stuck to a tree with your name on it, do not read it. It might look like a note from a friend or a message from another ranger. But if you read the words out loud, you are signing a contract with the Gray Station. The moment the last word leaves your mouth, your voice will start to sound like paper rubbing together. You will start to forget the color of the sky. I once found a hiker who was holding one of these notes. He was trying to scream, but only dust was coming out of his throat. He was already turning into one of them. You might wonder why we don't just burn the Gray Station down. The answer is that the building is not always in the same place. One day it is near Lake Two Rivers, and the next day it is deep in the North Woods. It moves like a ghost. The concern for hikers is that they might accidentally lean against the building while they are lost. Rule number 26. Never touch a wall that feels colder than the air around it. If you touch the Gray Station, the paper people can see through your eyes. They will know your home address, your phone number, and the names of your children. They will start sending notes to your house in the city, trying to lure your family into the park. Rule number 27 is about the lost luggage. Sometimes near the Gray Station, you will find piles of suitcases and backpacks. They look brand new. You might think, oh, I can find some food or a jacket in here. Do not open them. Those bags are not full of clothes. They are full of the leftover memories of the people who became paper people. If you open a bag, those memories will jump into your head. You will start to remember a life that isn't yours. You will remember a mother you never had and a house you never lived in. This is how the forest confuses your brain, so you can't find your way to the exit. The government works with the Gray Station because they are afraid of it. They provide the concrete and the steel, and in return, the paper people keep the Great Lake heart from growing too fast. It is a very dark deal. I have seen the black cars that drive to the edge of the park at night to meet with the paper people. They exchange boxes of files for blue sap. They use that sap to make medicines that help people forget things. I am telling you this because I want you to know that there is no one coming to save you if you get lost. You only have these rules and your own bravery. Next, we are going to talk about the water dogs and why you should never play fetch with an animal you find near the lake shore. Have you ever been sitting by the lake and seen a dog running toward you with a ball in its mouth? Most people think it is just a lost pet or a dog belonging to another hiker. This is a very big misconception. In Algonquin Park, we call these water dogs. My name is Elena Vance, and I am telling you that there are no stray dogs in these woods. A real dog would be too scared of the no-whistle zones to run around play acting. These water dogs are actually part of the lake. Their fur is not hair. It is made of very thin, dried seaweed. Their eyes are not brown or blue. They are just black holes filled with lake water. They want you to play with them so you will come closer to the muddy shore. A big question I get from new rangers is, why do they look so real? The answer is that the forest is a master of the big copy. Sees how much humans love their pets. It knows that if you see a lonely dog, you will forget the rules. You will want to pet it. You will want to whistle for it to come to you. This is the biggest concern for me. The moment you whistle at a water dog, the game begins. But it is not a game you can win. The dog will drop the ball and wait for you to throw it into the water. If you throw it, the dog will swim out, but it will not come back. It will wait for you to come into the water to get the ball yourself. Rule number 28. Never touch an animal that does not have a heartbeat. If a dog comes up to you, place your hand near its chest. If you don't feel a thump thump thump, it is a water dog. If you feel it, do not scream. Just turn around and walk away very slowly. If you run, the dog will unzip. This means its skin will fall away, and it will turn back into a giant wet hand made of mud and weeds. I once found a man who tried to save a puppy from the water. We found his hat floating 3 miles away, but we never found him. The puppy was just a lure, like the light on a fishing fish. The false pets are another trick. Sometimes you will hear a cat meowing outside your tent, or you might hear a bird that sounds exactly like your parrot at home. This is the forest trying to overcome your concern of being homesick. It wants to make you feel like you are in your living room, not in a dark forest with 100-foot trees. Rule number 29. If you hear a pet that you left at home, cover your ears and hum a song to yourself. Do not use a melody that sounds like a whistle. Just hum a low, flat sound. This blocks the forest signal from getting into your brain. If you listen to the meowing for too long, you will start to believe the cat is real, and you will open your tent. The government has a special animal control team for the park, but they don't use nets or cages. They use flamethrowers. They know that the only way to stop a water dog is to dry it out completely. I have seen them working near the docks at night. They find the seaweed piles that look like sleeping dogs and burn them before the sun comes up. They tell the public they are just burning trash. But I have seen the piles move and try to crawl back into the water while they are on fire. It is a sound I will never forget. It sounds like 1,000 wet leaves screaming. Rule number 30. If a water dog drops a ball at your feet, do not pick it up. The ball is usually a coated stone. It is a rock from the bottom of the lake that is covered in a sticky slime. If you touch it, your hand will get stuck to the stone. Then the stone will start to get heavier and heavier. It will grow until it weighs 100 pounds, pinning you to the ground. Then the water dog will just sit there and watch you until the sun goes down and the night rangers come to collect you. If you see a ball, kick it away with your boot. Never use your hands. I am telling you this because the forest uses love and kindness as a weapon. It knows that humans are good people who want to help animals. But in Algonquin, kindness is a hole that you can fall into. You must be cold. You must be hard. You must treat every animal like it is a ghost until it proves it is real. Next, we are going to talk about the whispering rain and why you must never let the raindrops touch your tongue. Have you ever been standing in the rain and felt like the drops were trying to tell you a secret? Most people think rain is just water that falls when the clouds get too heavy. This is a very big misconception. In the no-whistle zones, the rain is different. We call it whispering rain. My name is Elena Vance, and I have seen hikers stand in the middle of a storm with their mouths open, trying to catch raindrops on their tongues. This is the biggest mistake you can make. The rain in this park carries the memory dust from the silver trees. Each drop is like a tiny bit of the forest's brain. If it touches your tongue, you are letting the forest inside your body. A big question I get from the junior rangers is, why does the rain sound like people talking? If you listen to a normal rainstorm, it sounds like a drum. But whispering rain sounds like a million tiny voices murmuring under their breath. The biggest concern for me is that the rain can mimic the people you love. If you are out in the woods and it starts to pour, you might hear your mother's voice in the pitter-patter on your hood. You might hear your best friend laughing in the splashes near your feet. This is a trick. The forest uses the sound of the rain to overcome your concern of being alone. It wants you to feel so happy that you take off your raincoat and let the water soak into your skin. Rule number 31. Never let your skin get wet from the whispering rain. If you see the clouds turning a strange, oily green color, put on your waterproof gear immediately. If the rain touches your bare skin, it will start to leave blue tracks. These look like tiny blue veins that move under your skin. They are not dangerous at first, but they are mapping your nervous system. They are learning how your muscles move so the forest can make a better copy of you later. I once saw a man whose whole arm had turned blue after a storm. He couldn't move his fingers anymore. He said his arm didn't belong to him anymore. It belonged to the clouds. The salt rule is very important here. Rule number 32. If you get soaked by the rain, you must wash yourself with salt water as soon as you get back to your tent. Salt is the only thing that kills the memory in the water. It wipes the data clean. The government knows this. That is why they keep giant piles of salt hidden in the ranger stations. They tell the public the salt is for the roads in the winter. But I have seen them throwing salt into the lakes after a big storm. They are trying to reset the water so the Great Lake heart doesn't get too smart from all the new memories it just collected from the hikers. The biggest concern for campers is the indoor rain. This is very rare, but it is very scary. Sometimes it will start raining inside your tent, even if the sky outside is dry. This means the forest has found a glitch in your mind. It is projecting the rain directly into your reality. If this happens, do not panic. Do not run outside. Rule number 33. Close your eyes and count to 10 very slowly. Tell yourself, the ground is dry, the air is dry. When you open your eyes, the indoor rain will be gone. It is a test of your will. If you believe the rain is real, it will become real, and it will drown you in your own sleeping bag. I am telling you this because the weather is the forest's way of reaching you even when you are hiding. You can hide from a water dog. You can hide from a night ranger. But it is very hard to hide from the rain. You must treat every drop of water like it is a tiny spy. Keep your gear dry. Keep your mouth shut. And never ever whistle while it is raining. The water carries the sound of a whistle much faster than the air. One whistle in the rain can be heard by every lake in the park at the same instant. Next, we are going to talk about the shadow eaters and why you must check the ground every hour to make sure your shadow is still attached to your feet. Have you ever looked down at the ground and felt like your shadow was moving a little bit slower than you? Most people think shadows are just dark spots caused by the sun. This is a very big misconception. In Algonquin Park, your shadow is like a second skin. It is the part of you that the forest finds easiest to grab. My name is Elena Vance, and I have seen hikers walk out of the woods perfectly fine, but they didn't have shadows anymore. Without a shadow, you are like a book with no words. You look real, but there is nothing inside. We call the things that take them shadow eaters. The biggest question I get is, how can something eat a shadow? The answer is that the ground in this park is not just dirt. It is a hungry mouth. The shadow eaters are flat, dark shapes that live just under the leaves. They wait for you to stand still for too long. If you stay in one spot for more than 5 minutes, your shadow starts to sink into the dirt. The biggest concern for me is that you won't feel it happening. You might just feel a little bit tired or cold. But once your shadow is gone, the forest has a map of your soul. It can use that shadow to build a mimic that looks, walks, and talks exactly like you. Rule number 34. Check your shadow every hour. If you notice that your shadow is pointing toward the sun instead of away from it, you are in big trouble. This means a shadow eater has already swapped places with your real shadow. You are walking on a trap. To fix this, you must immediately jump as high as you can. For the split second that you are in the air, you are not touching the forest. This breaks the connection. When you land, your shadow should reset. If it doesn't, you need to run to the nearest patch of bright, direct sunlight and stay there until you see your shadow grow back. The no-whistle policy is very important for your shadow. When you whistle, the vibration goes through your bones and down into your feet. This makes your shadow shake. A shaking shadow is much easier for a shadow eater to pull underground. It's like loosening a tooth before you pull it out. If you whistle, you are basically offering your shadow as a snack to the woods. I once found a girl sitting on a log who was crying because she couldn't find her shadow. I looked at the ground, and I saw her shadow trying to crawl away into a bush. It didn't want to be with her anymore because the forest had called it. The government knows about the shadow eaters. Have you ever wondered why the ranger stations have those giant, bright floodlights that stay on all night? It's not to help us see. It's to make sure our shadows stay pinned to the floor. In the secret ranger training, they teach us how to stitch our shadows to our boots using a special thread made of silver and salt. We are told never to let our shadows touch the shadow of a silver tree. If the shadows touch, the tree can bleed its blue memories into your shadow, and you will start to lose your mind. Rule number 35. If you see someone else walking in the woods and their shadow looks heavy or thick like mud, do not talk to them. That is not a person. That is a shadow eater that has finished its meal and is now trying to walk like a human. It hasn't learned how to make a thin shadow yet. If you talk to it, it will try to take your shadow too so it can have a pair. I have seen people in the park with 3 or 4 shadows following them. It is a terrifying sight. They look like giant, dark spiders crawling across the forest floor. I am telling you this because your shadow is your anchor to the real world. If you lose it, you become a ghost of the park. You will wander the trails forever, looking for a light that will never come. Keep your shadow close. Keep your feet moving.